Welcome, everyone. I hope you're having a great time so far. Yes? Excellent. I really love the fact that there were people who were so anxious to get to this session that they came with their suitcases and didn't even check in before they arrived because they said, I got to get there. And I think that the reason they felt that way is pretty simple. And that is somebody named Adriana Trigiani. So let's just face it, she doesn't have a walk-up song. But let's all give a big applause because Adri's in the house.
Now it's on. Is it on?
It's on.
Oh, that was a very emotional entrance for me. How's everybody doing? Oh, my God. Okay, last time I did this, I have to tell you, Katie, 3 people came. So I took everybody out for coffee. So this time is really very, very moving.
Where's the coffee?
I had a pot this morning with my friend Shag. Shag right here. I came via Chicago, and and when you come, when you fly in, and you got all these St. Mary's girls in Chicago, you always know they have a bed for you, and that's what happened last night. And I saw all the kids, and I met the granddaughter for the first time. Yeah. It's good. Not mine. I won't live to see it, but good for you, Shag. Okay. Yeah, I'm circling the drain. I'm honest about it, I have to say, though, my class, great work here. Great. Barb from Traverse City, Michigan. Okay. All right, I'll stop. Go ahead, Katie. Hi, you guys. Oh, my God. All right.
Look, I'm not really expecting you to behave. So
that doesn't happen.
We're going to have a great conversation up here. We have a bunch of questions that people submitted. I just get to ask them. The fact is, nobody needs to ask Adrienne any questions. She could just make them up and, keep going. Adrienne and I have a few things in common here, but the one that this weekend, at least so far today, is looking really clear to me is that we have hair that is a barometer for what's going on out there. We do share that.
We're very rare, but yours is shiny and beautiful. I'm going to have to get a list of your products. Because the minute I washed my hair at the hotel, I went, I'm back in South Bend. I need the old orange juice cans. Remember those? Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Okay, so we know that you have some really exciting things happening, but I don't want to talk about them immediately at the beginning because all these people are here today because of St. Mary's. And
let's talk about
They share St. Mary's with you.
Yeah.
And so I just thought maybe you want to start by just saying a little bit about when you think back to your years at St. Mary's, like, what are the memories that come to mind, and what were your feelings? And what were your feelings when you drove on campus?
There were so many drunk people in those days that... A lot of times, just for time's sake, I have a drink, Anyway, what can I tell you? Okay, let me start at the beginning, because I think that's an important place to start. My sister Pia is here, my sister Francesca, and my sister Antonia. Tony, Cheka, and Pia, okay? And our oldest sister's not here, Mary Yolanda, because she's the boss and she's running Washington, D.C. right now. All right, I'm kidding. So I was not a standout student, but I knew very young that I was a good reader, because they used to do this thing called the Iowa reading test. You remember where all our teachers raise your hands, okay? And I was reading in the 2nd grade on a 12th grade reading level. No, I know, I sound like a genius. I wasn't. And then I knew that in the back of my mind, so I'm like, I'm going to do it. I thought, I spent 8 hours at that school. I'm not going to do homework. I'm not interested. I have other things I'm thinking about, right? So I wasn't a standout student, and my grades were pretty poor in high school. Like I get an A in English and an F in typing, for example. And I make my living typing. So this is giving you hope for your children and grandchildren that are losers. Okay, so I had these grand dreams about where I would go to school because I live in a constant state of delusion, which is the job that I'm in. So just think about the things like how I wish the world were as opposed to the way it is, perhaps, Is St. Mary's, there's no better place on earth than St. Mary's because we could do anything we wanted to do once we got here. So Sister Francesca Kennedy hauled my Italian ass into her office the day that I got here, and she said, listen to me. We only let you in because of your sister. Now, this is the joke, but she didn't say this, but let's put it in nun talk, okay? Basically, my sister Pia went in there and sucked up to Sister Francesca Kennedy so much every day, she left a hickey on the door. So yes, we're going to talk about sex because it's a Catholic women's college. Okay, so that's all you talked about when I was here. Okay, so I'm totally kidding you. You girls, you were so nice. You were so nice when you were sober, yeah. Okay, so anyway, so I got in and I said to myself, the girls will tell you that went to school with me that I had glasses that were like ashtrays, and I cut my own hair, still do, but I cut it then, and I know, sad. But Sister Francesca, really gave me the keys to the kingdom. Make something out of yourself here, because if you don't cut it, you're out. Now, the year that we came, they had girls sleeping in the hallways. But I got here because my sister Mary was an RA. I got here like a month before, which was great because I could go up and down the halls and make long-distance phone calls on phones that weren't mine. And, oh yeah. Bernie, remember Indiana Bell would chase me? I'd be like, and I think I invented the cell phone, Bernie. I do. You know why? Because I used to get that bill and go, it should be free. It's just wires. Why are we paying for phone? Do you remember how much those bills were? That you'd say, hello, goodbye, can't talk, blah, blah, blah. And then it'd be $3.49 and all your money was gone. So in my mind, I look, we have a couple of men here. I'm so sorry, sir, that you got these poor straight men that come to see me. They don't know what to do. They're like, my wife made me come. It's okay, it'll get fun. He's only here because he can drive at night. Okay. Oh. He's like, and the air conditioning's on, okay? He's like, all right, I'll sit in there.
Is this the stand-up act?
No, I'm just on a riff. I'm so excited to be here. I'm going to stop in a second. But anyway, so do you want me to stop? I'll stop. Okay, Katie. Katie, when we tour, got to let me loose. Okay. Anyway, so, and I love her so much, and I think she's our greatest president, and I'll get to you in a minute. Yes, I do. Yes, I do. So anyway, where was I? Huh? All right, stop yelling at me. This is just like being at school with you people again. Oh, yeah, I thought I invented the cell phone because I thought it's free, right? It's pretty free. Okay, you pay for it, but okay, you know what I'm talking about. You paid by the minute or whatever back then. So anyway, I got here early, so I had a room in Regina, 4 South. Who was in 4 South? Bernie. Who's back there? Girls, shout out, because everybody's blind and deaf up here. Those are all the girls that came late. Come down here and sit. We have a whole area. Why are you up there? All right, anyway, I love those girls. Anyhow, so we immediately started to misbehave. And of course, I did because I came from a very strict home, and the gloves were off. I could do whatever I wanted to do, so we created tableaus, plays in the elevators. And, oh yeah, just staged scenes that were not true. Like, I'd get in an elevator with another actress, and I was a director, and I'd say, keep your hands off my man. And then we'd start arguing. And the other girls in the elevator would be like so proper. I'm like... And then we got on the shuttle bus, and we started doing full plays on the shuttle bus. And I try to explain this to people, what we did. because you would go over there for classes on the shuttle, or when you went to their terribly gross beer-fueled parties. All I remember is the stink and the aftershave. That's what I remember. Anyway, so we started doing it on the bus, and it took off, and then they gave us a theater to do it in. I'm getting to the point of everything. Okay. I really wish I hadn't drunk before. You know, you have to do drink jokes when you're at St. Mary's because we just do. Everybody's sober. You can see that. All right. So anyway,
You need that mic.
I went to the theater department the first week I was here with my big, thick glasses and bad haircut and whatever else was going on. And I went to see a man named Dr. Reg Bain. Does anybody remember Reg? He just passed away. And is the classmate here that sent me the notice about it? Maybe not. I don't think she's got a reunion here. Anyway, so I went into him and I said, Dr. Bain, you don't know me, but I'm a theater major. And he said, well, that's kind of not how it's done. You declare sophomore year, second semester, and everything. I said, no, you don't understand. I am a theater major right now. And he said, and he just kind of looked at me like, oh, this is a weirdo kind of thing. But I said, no, I mean it. I am in show business, and I need to learn everything you can teach me about theater. And so he signed me up for Introduction to Theater, History of Theater, and the third one, ballet. I took ballet for 4 years at St. Mary's in Notre Dame. Now, we had a joint theater department then, and it fell away. I don't know what happened, but I had an intern this summer that's a Notre Dame girl, and she said to me, oh, no, the St. Mary's girls come over and audition, and we do it. So they're doing the same thing, so I'm just planting a seed. Those departments need to come back together. They really do. Because our theater department now, they're just working like animals over there, and it would be helpful. Anyway, what it also gave you with the Notre Dame St. Mary's Theater Department is that you had a lot more spaces within to do your work. Theaters, the shuttle bus, whatever I would do, I went into the boys' dorms and the women's dorms, and we did shows. We created all kinds of things. Celia Boyle, who's here, I don't know her married name. You know what, Celia? Get off my back, okay? So I didn't know. Anyway, I'm teasing you. Celia is a fantastic actress. And I used to just go around and look at people and go, okay, you're in my show. And they'd be like, what? I said, no, you have to be in my show. I'm not an actress. I'm a bio major. I don't care. You look good. So Celia, she brought the house down the sophomore parents weekend show. You remember that, Celia? Did she come to reunion? Is she here? Oh my, you were roommates? Oh my God. Okay. So you're kind of getting the thing here. So what ended up happening to me here is the biggest break of my life, which was Reg Bain, along with Julie Jensen, Fred Seberg, the faculty, came together and they basically said, give that girl the main stage slot her senior year. So I had a goal now, and what ended up happening was I wrote a play called Notes from the Nile, which was the updated story of Cleopatra, and with anachronisms galore, but it's based on Shakespeare. Why Shakespeare? Because I took as many Shakespeare courses from Sister Jean Cleany as I could, and because I'm grade averse, I took them a couple of times pass-fail. She goes, why are you doing that? You're going to get a good grade. I said, I don't want the grade. I want to really listen, and I don't want to have pressure. I want to really learn from you. And so many years later, when this beautiful school gave me an honorary degree, she wrote what is it called? The citation. Yeah, she wrote the citation. So I loved her very much, and before she died, I would visit her over at the... By the way, I think everybody, when you're in the mood, become nuns because that's where you want to be at the end. Are the sisters here? Oh, my God. You know, I really, really, really thought seriously about becoming a nun. But there was this one thing that kept me from it. Don't guess, sister. I'm going to tell you, it's the footwear. I couldn't do it. You wear the worst shoes in the history of shoemaking. Sorry. At the end, sister, it wasn't my soul journey. It was basically my aesthetic absolute. I couldn't do the shoes. And you know, and when we got here, some of your fellow sisters were still in habits. Sister Mary Spectator, who was in Le Mans, what was her real name? What? She wore Spectator pumps, and I thought, then I coasted almost on the edge, and I went, maybe I could do this. Those are not bad. Do you remember her? She did all the flower arrangements. She was at the front desk. Back here, you remember. What's her real name? We called her Sister Mary Spectator. Cecile Marie. Oh. Now, and then I swear I'll stop talking, but I just made a big circle in this room, which starts with Bernie Ryan. Bernie Ryan knew I loved Clark Gable freshman year. She gave me, it's on my thing, it says, and your inscription to me is in it, Bernie. Yeah, okay, is that my mother calling? Please pick up the phone. My mother's calling from heaven. She said, please don't curse in front of those ladies. What's that? Yeah, so Bernie gives me this thing, because I immediately established that I am an old movie fanatic, which fed right into the theater department because I could talk to my professors about films and television and theater. So Bernie gives me the book, and I kind of keep it, and I have it. And I write a poem a couple years later in Chimes. Who participated in Chimes? Oh, look at you, you beleaguered poets. Look at you. So, remember Dr. Max Wessler? Everybody remember Max? He looks good. He's in good shape. He's doing great. Anyway, he was our poetry professor. And I always like to say people look good because I think it's important. Don't you think, Laura? You agree? Yes. I mean, really, what else we got to live for? Let's just face it. Anyway, looks good. So anyway, so just to tell you how my mind works and how long things take, I'm living in Augusta in what we called the Shaggy Annie alcove with Catherine Shaughnessy, her nickname Shag. So Shaggy Annie, and then occasionally when she was in a bad mood, I would change the sign to the Raggy Annie alcove, okay? Which, because Adrian was never in a bad mood. All right, Shag, get off my back. Anyway, so what happened was, I have to hold this microphone up here. So what happened was, I'm rehearsing Notes from the Nile, and I'm really tired at night. And you know, back in those days, you didn't wash off your eye makeup. You just walked around with black. And there's a banging at the door, and I figure it's Shag. I open the door, it's not Shag. It's Sister Agnes Eugenia. Do you remember her? I think she was born in 1812, wasn't she? She has on the full regalia and a big cross. That I have to tell you, I did ogle it. You remember her in Augusta? She went around the hallways up there. You know, Augusta was a new freewheeling dorm. Freewheeling, which meant you could have. It's up to your consciences, girls, what you do. And I thought, poor St. Mary's, poor St. Mary's. They trust us, and it turned into, I don't even want to tell you. So anyway, but the thing was, you had to behave somewhat because the sisters there was a thin wall. Remember that thin wall? Oh my gosh. Anyway, so I was in Augusta with Shag in the alcove. Bang, bang, bang. I open it up. There she is. I said, sister, how are you? I think you have the wrong area. And she said, no, I'm here to see you. Or are you Adriana Trigiani? And I said, yes, sister, I'm Adriana Trigiani. She said, well, I read your poem in Chimes about Clark Gable. And I sent your poem to Mrs. Gable. Kay Spreckles Gable. And she said, do you know who Kay Spreckles Gable is? And because of Bernie's book, I said, Kay Spreckles Gable had a very tumultuous divorce from the owner of the Spreckles sugar fortune. She met Clark Gable on a date in 1952. And I told her the whole story. She goes, you got the right person. Okay. So then she says, I'm cleaning out my cell. That's what they call their rooms. So I said, sister, what a downer to call it a cell, but okay. I'm cleaning out my cell and I want you to have something. And she handed me an 8x10 photograph of a little boy. And it says, Dear Sister Agnes Eugenia, please pray for me and my pa, John Clark Gable, 1965. And then she gave me a letter from Kay, and then she said this to me. I called her, and you know back then, for a nun to make a phone call, she probably had to scrub the portico with a toothbrush. Anyway, you know what I'm talking about. That's why these girls did not become nuns that I ran with. Didn't like chores, did not like cleaning and chores. They did not like it. Anywho, there's a letter in there. She said, this is from Kay. I want you to have all this. And she said, when I called her and I told her, I read her your poem, and then I sent her a copy of Chimes. You know, we'd leave them in the dining hall. Anybody want to read a poem? Just take it for free. So she sent her a copy of it, and she said, she called me, and she said, I read her poem, and I cried, because I didn't think anybody remembered my husband anymore. Years later, 2015, I wrote All the Stars in the Heavens, inspired by the photograph. Bernie's book. I think you're thanked in the acknowledgments. Are you, Bernie? Aren't you thanked? You know what, Bernie? Pay attention. I freaking crawled here. You know, really. I know. Are you on your phone? Anyway, Bernie, I think you're in the acknowledgments of that because of the book. Okay, Bernie never read the book. Okay. Glad I made the trip, Bern. Whatever. Okay. All right, good. Anyway, so, and I'll make sure we fix it. I know, poor Tricia. Tricia is always a peacemaker. Don't get mad at Adri. She's on one of her benders, and just let her talk. Okay. So, it took me till 2015 to write the story, and it's bookended at St. Mary's, which I think a lot of you know. And if you ever notice, my characters go to St. Mary's. Ave Maria, Mulligan went to St. Mary's. I every chance I get, I roll that towards you. But please, gives me an opportunity in the real world to talk about it. But anyway, so that's how. I mean, I think that answers the question that you haven't asked me yet about how do I get an idea and bring it full circle. And
I'm so glad you knew.
Well, I'm a cheat sheet.
I mentioned at the beginning that I'm a prop up here.
Please don't feel that way, Katie. Please, the girls came here to be entertained, and the one man, the one straight man who can drive at night and really is sorry he came and sat in the back row as not to draw attention to himself. Okay.
I see some others.
We do. We have a couple others. My brother-in-law, definitely straight. Why am I saying that? Who cares? Because frankly, if this room were full of gay men, I would be the happiest girl in the country. Right, Laura? Amen, sis. Laura Minikillo, right down here. Okay, Niles, Michigan. All right, so let's go. Next question. Poor Katie.
Well,
looks on your faces.
Before I ask you the next question, I just have to say, first of all, now I have a little better understanding of someone who walked in, gave you a hug, and then looked at me and said, she put me on the stage my first year. So now I understand that a little better. As for your allusions to drinking.
Oh, no. Listen, these girls were very temperate drinkers that I could tell.
My husband went out for a walk last night. I'm not going to tell you. Okay, I wasn't going to give you away. Where did he find them? Corby's. I don't think he was in. No, he walked the dog for a long time, but I didn't think that was why. Yes, he said, I met a bunch of smicks, at Corby's. I said, okay, I'll get to the bottom of that. And it didn't take me long. Okay, so.
That's hilarious.
So
well, you know what our class song is?
No.
Remember we voted on it? Stumbling in. It's our class song. I just thought of that.
Okay, so Adri.
All right, is everybody having fun?
Yes.
Okay, but now we're Catholic. We had our fun, which was what we call the emotional potluck dinner. Now we're going to get real.
Well, we might have some more fun too. But
Okay, all right.
I was
Katie's-
glad that you mentioned so many names of faculty members that like brought up little cheers, because I was going to ask you about whether there were people who particularly were
yes.
influential for
Gene
you, but
Rhodes.
you named.
Gene Rhodes.
Yeah.
We never forget our professors. Wonderful philosophy professor, Bill Hawke. Remember him? Thomas Steinbuck in philosophy. Remember him? Yeah, he was great. Liz Noel was great. Who else? Ann Lux was fantastic. Yeah. Penny Jameson. Okay, here comes Maureen. Maureen Campbell-Lapina has the memory of 12 people. She will remember everything. Who else, Maureen? Who are the math teachers? I don't remember them. Now, I remember Dr. Borengasser did Baby Bio. Did anybody have that with me? Wait a minute. Brother Larry was our chaplain. No, who was our chaplain? Father Krause. I have to tell a funny story about Father Krause. You want me
Okay,
to
we
tell
get the story about Father Krause.
Can we have that story?
Why don't you give that story, and
All
then
right.
I'm going to ask that question.
Okay, Father Krause was the son of Moose Krause. And he was a tall, handsome man. And for anybody that took classes in Regina on the pool with the windows open, Tuesdays, 11 to 1, saw him take his swimming, what do they call that? His physical activity. It's constitutional. And I think one of the reasons most of us flunked Italian, except for Barb, or whatever that class was, Barb, forgive me, because I don't want to conflate. You were sitting there with me. And we would watch him dive into the pool and swim back and forth and back and forth. And he was a beautiful specimen of a man, may he rest in peace, and also taught religion. So we all signed up for his religion class based on his spiritual gifts. And then that was that. He would love it if he were here, because we used to lob questions at him in religion class that would make your hair curl. Yeah, okay, so that's... What do you mean? In my religion? Yeah. Yes, Shag. 3 people got your joke, okay? Ask another question. No, I don't.
Okay.
I know it sounds a little bit on the edge, doesn't it? But that's how we are, so, okay.
Well, I'm glad you got religion one way or another.
Okay. Little judgy, President Conboy, little judgy. Little judgy. Even sisters recoiling here.
All right, you went to a women's college.
Yep.
And I just can't help but observe that you just have so many characters in your books that they're just rich in relationship, family, friendship, strong women. Is there a connection with St. Mary's there?
Of course.
Your family,
No, I think
obviously,
that's
a lot of strong women there.
That's a beautiful question, because it's true. But here's what I'm going to tell you. As an artist, you don't know how that voice is going to come out in you. You really have no idea. Who writes here? We all write. Raise your hands. Poets. I know, I see. Don't be shy. The thing about creativity is it's the expression of your soul. And your soul is eternal. It's evermore. It always was. Shall ever so be. I'm very religious in that regard. No, I am. I know you think it's funny, but I wouldn't put me up for, any official role. But I would say that I'm very articulate on the subject of the soul, because I believe everything I do is an expression of it, whatever it is. And by the way, it's never anything bad. It's the good stuff. Now, those 7 deadly sins and all those other things that happen, those are an expression of the world. That's the world on you. So your soul every day of your life has to rise up to meet the level. And I learned this time and again when I'm with other authors, because there's no postage stamp. There's no age. You could write a book now, and at whatever age you are, you could be 20, you could be 90, and that book would reach readers. That's the business I went into because I really believe in it. When I met Frank McCourt, and I bring him up because he's Irish and Catholic, and he wrote probably one of the great books of the last century, Angela's Ashes. He was a school teacher for 43 years. He labored another 10 after retirement on that book, and it was published when he was in his 70s. See where I'm going here? For anybody in this room, I don't care what it is you want to do, if you listen to that voice, that soul, it will guide you. A lot of people, especially women, when we talk about that a little bit, about just the women's aspect. Here's the thing about St. Mary's. It did not dawn on me when I left here that there wasn't anything I couldn't do. And in fact, if I was with a man, I would think in my mind, knucklehead. When it came time to teach my daughter about men, I said to her, listen, there's 2 things you need to know about men, only 2. Number 1, they never wear shoes that hurt. And the second one, which I learned at St. Mary's, is they want to win. And if you're the only writer in the room on a comedy, the only woman, and you deal with that battering ram of information, they all went to Harvard when I went to Hollywood. Where'd you go? St. Mary's. What's a St. Mary's? And I educated them. It's interesting because women know this. And I can't explain it to my husband. I can't explain it to any man I've ever known. You can't understand this. We are graced with these superpowers of multitasking and brains and empathy and compassion and the ability to withstand pain at the speed of sound. And we get no credit for it. So I always ask this question. The only reason I'm on this stage is because I had a mother that gave up her career. Look at Sister Wentz, see? She's like, no, man, I'm not giving up my career for anybody. And you did, and you didn't, and you've got a long way to go, but you're making it. You're going to get there without having ever once in your life to have said to a man, get out of my way, except all the priests that, come through. Now, why they didn't turn to the sisters when we have no priests and say, sister, you've served us well, we are going to make you a priest. Come on. I say to the sisters, you don't have to do it, but you should have the option after you gave your life to this. You should have the option, because I kind of understand it a little bit, because they don't like women directing movies. And I almost do it I love it, but I do it as an act of defiance. So when you try to explain this to a man, any man, pick one. I'm not down. I love men. Obviously, I'm married one. It's great. Whatever. It also helped a great deal when we were here, I think. It was the world was opening up more. And every time we get 2 steps forward, they shove us back. Every time. There's this guy who wrote a big hit book named Scott Galloway. And I don't know if you know who he is, but his whole thing's about boys, and boys are being left behind, and they're not. And every time they do that, it's a slap in the face to an institution like this. Your boys are just fine. Maybe you shouldn't have given them phones when they were 10 years old and left them in the basement with video games where women's heads are getting blown off. Okay? Maybe that's the problem. Secondarily, 40% of the children raised in the United States are done by single mothers. Did you know that? The average age of the American widow is what? 57. We know we're programmed from birth as women. And when we came to St. Mary's, it was inculcated in us. Prepare thyself. Rely on no one. So when I would go into rooms and there hadn't been a woman there in a very long time, first thing I led with is where I went to school. I want them to understand. You know, she said it best, and I can't say it in front of sister. But basically, I'm going to substitute the name, Joan Crawford. Said, don't mess with me, fellas. Do not mess with me. And I graduated with a group of women that they're powerhouses because they don't take any crap. Now, where we fall short, sister, this is, I'm playing to you today.
Welcome,
Not
Mary
at St.
Ellen.
Mary's. There was no confusion at St. Mary's about the nature of relationships in my years here. There was no confusion. They were supportive of it. Did you feel that way? Show of hands. You don't be shy. Well, I'm getting into sex now, Martha. Martha, back it in. Oh my God, Martha, nothing's changed in all these years. Where's my? Look at me. See, sobbing. I just can't take it, Martha. Anyway, what I'm getting into is the idea of, listen, I didn't make the rules. I'm just telling you, when you get married, it's about romance. That's what they sell you. The diamond ring, the thing. The last thing it is when you get in a marriage is romance. Now, I learned that at St. Mary's. I learned it here. There was no, and you're going to appreciate this, Katie, I'm serious, there was no shielding us from the truth of things. None. You better get ready. Ain't gonna be easy out there, but what they inculcated in us was a sense of self-confidence and pride in our accomplishments. I'm gonna do the wheel. Find the thing you wanna do that you're the best at. Find it. Perfect it. Serve humanity. Okay? That's what they taught me. But there's a fourth rule that I added. Accept recognition for your accomplishments. I want you to raise your hand. There'll be no hands go up. Do you feel your mothers got credit for their contributions in their family? Not a one. You do? Okay, so you're the outlier. Okay. And why do you say that? Why did your mother get credit? Okay, what'd she do? Occupational therapy. Okay. Wait. I'm talking about, did she get credit for it? Yes. Okay, so one, that's good. We're happy. We're modeling ourselves. 91 and old. Well, but that doesn't mean she's still with us, right? Yeah. That's an incredible. Well, first of all, that's an exception. We have nobody else raising their hands. So what did that do for you that your mother got credit? Maybe a snitch. Did she go here? No. That's okay. Dad did. Your father went to Notre Dame? Oh, that's another show. Okay. I don't have time for that. Okay. Well, we could all write a book.
It's actually interesting what you said because, chipped into stone around this campus, you will find a quotation by Sister Madaleva, which is about...
Oh, I want to talk about her.
What we promise you, right? And that quote is longer than what is usually put up anywhere, right? So it says, we promise you discovery of yourselves, discovery of the universe, and your place in it. That's what we quote. But that passage goes on to say, we do not promise you safety. We do not promise you security, because you can never be secure until you're prepared to face everything that you will need to face. And well, I think that
I think you are so... Let me tell you something about her. Sister Madaleva Wolf, who graces the name of this hall, I become somewhat of a... I researched her very deeply.
Fangirl.
And when I was over, and I know you are, and you quote her a lot, which is good. She ran this school, but beyond the borders of the school, she carried the message. She didn't hang with a pack of Catholics. She didn't go to places where she was accepted. She made inroads where there was nobody like her. When I was in England on a book tour, the UK they call it, somebody handed me a book that was published in the United Kingdom and then in the United States, and she endorsed it on the back in 1941. And it was a book by an Anglican priest who became a Catholic. And he was very controversial in England. She ran with people like Claire Booth Luce, Henry Luce's wife, who was a woman who wrote to women. One of her besties was one of my obsessions, Helen Hayes, who was married to Charles MacArthur, who wrote The Front Page and other great plays. Moreau Hall is a testament. Go walk through it again. I know you're going to think about renovating, but I hope you save it, because I think it's an incredible building. I never understand why we have to tear things down and rebuild them. I don't understand that. But I guess sometimes we do.
We're not tearing that down.
Good. Because Moreau that cornerstone was laid in 1955, and I think it's a beautiful thing. And for those of us, who lived in that building, really, it dazzles. Oh, see, that's my father calling from heaven right now. Keep it clean, he's saying. Anyway, so Madaleva was a girl. As a girl, read my first 70 years. I tracked down a signed copy, and I don't collect cars. I collect books, and that one was like the cost of a car, and because she signed it, and when I read it, it was a transformational read for me because, and I think Ave Maria Press should reprint it and have me write the foreword, or you or whoever wants to do it, okay? Because people need to read it. It's called My First 70 Years, and when she turned 70, she reflected back on her life. And she was the most unlikely nun because she was tough, and she didn't suffer fools, and she liked really pretty clothes. And then she was just marooned in that habit for the rest of her life because she loved Jesus. Poor Sister Madaleva. Anyway, in her sensible shoes. And she just couldn't take it. But anyway, we know people that knew her. And my aunt was here when she was here, that graduated from St. Mary's. She was at the end of her thing. But she is really the Catholic Eleanor Roosevelt, in my opinion. And I think very highly of Eleanor Roosevelt, She's aspirational. I will never reach what she accomplished. But I want you to know this, too, because do we have any black or brown people in here? No, we don't. Okay, that's okay. It's okay because, I don't know, whatever. There's no judgment. But did you know this about her? There was a black student in Texas that they wanted her out of the school in Texas. And they called Sister Madaleva. We got a really bright girl here who needs an education. And there were no black people here. And Sister Madaleva said, well, I'll take her. She came up here and she graduated. Forgive me that it's getting close to 5 o'clock and I can't remember names. I won't remember Maureen at 5 o'clock. Anyway, and I know Maureen. Anyway, so our school, our beautiful school, was the first school, and I think women's college in the country that wasn't an HSBCU, Historical Black University or College, that accepted a person of color, and that was Madaleva. Now, did you know that story?
1941.
Now, see, we don't know the story because we're busy. We're busy. And we're just taking care of people. That's all we do. take care of these, nobody tells you how these men fall apart. Does anybody tell you that? One day they're on a ladder. Next day they're on a gurney. On their way out.
So, Adri, I really want to make sure we get to this incredible project that you are embarking on.
Here's my question.
And I'm afraid
why
that
do
if
we
I
have a
keep
time
asking her
limit?
other questions. Well,
President Katie, why do we have a time limit on this? Where's anybody going? We're in South Bend. We're wearing these stupid plastic things that are bringing our entire fashion vibe to the toilet with our name like we're in kindergarten. Where are we going? We got nowhere to go. I got nowhere to go. I mean, there might be I think, what time is it? The beer tent might be opening at Soren Hall.
well, we still have 40 minutes here.
Oh, we do? Oh, good. Oh, I just didn't want
So
you
we're
to
not running
wind us up.
away. It's just that I'm afraid that if I ask you too many really great questions about other things, you won't get to tell this
I know.
story.
You know what?
And
I
so
need to
I want to
rein-
go there.
I'm reining
And then
myself
we can
in.
go backwards again.
Okay, good. I'm
Okay. So
reining
tell
myself
us
in.
about this amazing project that you're working on right now, because I was blown away when I read it.
Well, my new project is that just was announced. It's been in the works for over a year. I'm writing the sequel to The Godfather through the lens of Connie Corleone. Now, I've written 23 books with not a mention of the mob. Nary, not even a whew, never. And they came to me, the Puzo estate, like they're all alive, except for the dad who wrote The Godfather. And funnily enough, I had recently reread The Godfather before they called me. Like, pay attention to those little things that happen in your life that are guiding you. I'd read it, and then I do Substack. Are you following me on Substack? You could do it for free. You don't pay. If you don't want to pay, don't pay. I don't feel bad. You can get it for free. Are you listening to my podcast? Yes. Don't get an attitude. I just asked a question. Leave comments. Say, I'm from St. Mary's. Tell me what, we're looking for feedback. Anyway, by the way, my next guest is Dr. Jill Biden. I was the first podcast she did. The first podcast, there's a story behind it. I'm not going to bore you with that, but she came to our house, and we made it into a television studio, and it's going to be good. And we talk about education. So for you that are educators, some of the girls have to catch the trolley to Notre Dame. I'm serious. They told me before they came. All right, we'll see you girls later. Thank you for coming. We would try to not save the best for last here. So, see how that's the theater major in me. People leave, you get sick to your stomach. Like, what did I say to offend them? Meanwhile, we still have the night driver. He's hanging in there. Okay, totally teasing you. You're so cute. All right, anyway. So where was I?
You were in your living room doing a podcast with Jill Biden.
So please sign up for You Are What You Read. It's free. And I talk to the great writers every week. This is my give back to my industry. Okay, but let's get to The Godfather. Well, this is why this makes a circle. Sorry, ladies and gentlemen. The reason, what happened was a woman named Connie Owens had died that used to come to see me every time I appeared. She's from Long Island. She was Italian, but she married a man of Irish descent, hence Owens. And seriously, she would come everywhere. And then she started to get into her 90s. She needed to come with her daughter-in-law, who would help her walk, and then she was in a wheelchair at the end, okay? But sharp as a tack, read every word I wrote, no pressure here, anybody, all right? So I wrote about her, and it made me think of, when she talked about her life, how the men in the family got all the credit and the voices and everything. And I said, and I had inherited a copy of The Godfather, so I reread it, and I wrote, where are the women in this book? Where are they? get ready, he made a lot of notes. Don Vito Corleone was based on his grandmother, made it on his mother, not his father. So I was handed like a bouquet. And I've been working on it for over a year. I'm done, but now we're editing. But I walked through the portal of those characters. And I was able to do something that I would never be able to do with the characters that I create, which is I'm going to give you a family you already know. But I'm going to tell you through the women what the story was. And it's really great. And it has what you call, everything now in Hollywood is IP, which means intellectual property. And the IP on that is probably the most recognizable globally. So I kind of want St. Mary's, my St. Mary's sisters, to get ready, because I think it's going to be enormous and global. And I think you're going to, and this is where my Catholic faith comes in. Because when I met with them, Tony Puzo, who's his son, said to me, you have to remember this is a crime novel, Adriana. It's a crime novel. And I said, no, I understand that. See, they read my books, and they know how I do things. I said, here's what I put on my computer. You cannot have redemption without sin. So I have this great privilege of writing complicated, compromised, complex, sinful, soulful characters in need of God. They don't know that, but I'm telling you. And so and I didn't think of this. I would have never, ever. I pitched 2 other new novels. I didn't pitch this. I didn't even think about it. And then something that only happens to men. The male authors, I love a lot of them, but the male authors get away with so much. We'll be signing books somewhere, and the women fawn, and then they come over to me and they said, you shouldn't have used a comma on page 133. And then I say to the lady, you're a teacher, aren't you? She said, yes, I am. Teachers come to me with bayonets, man. They're like, so I'm very privileged to do it, and I'm also very aware, and I like this aspect of it, that it's somebody else's legacy that I'm honoring in my particular way and voice. And I'm aware, too, that this is very male-driven novel that people fell in love with, and that I'm going to be getting the letters. Sonny died at the such and such. He didn't die here. I'm going to get all that. But we've been working really hard on that and I learned that at St. Mary's also. I learned as a theater major how to break down a play. When I got a job, I didn't have any, there was no money. P will tell you, I owed her money for a long time. Then she called to collect, and I was really annoyed. Anyway, she'd say, you can't just borrow money. You have to give it back. Anyway, there was no grants, no trust fund, no nothing. Self-made, St. Mary's all the way, okay? Which I share with all of you, I am sure. But I walked into a business where there was a lot of that. And they're always have a gimlet eye with you, like, why are you here? Because I happen to be pretty good at this. I know what I'm doing. As opposed to, it was handed to me. So I'm very aware of that. And again, these are the building blocks of St. Mary's. I could break them out for you. First, curiosity. What are you curious about? It could have been, my friends that were in nursing. They were studying all chemistry, biology, hard stuff, okay? I was as serious as they were about the theater, the written word, literature. And I came here without a good foundation. I mean, we grew up in Big Stone Gap, Virginia. The schools were okay, but you always had to be self-educated on a certain level. But the day I got here, I realized how far behind I was. I realized I was way behind. You Chicago girls from the Catholic schools, whew, you knew your stuff. They'd already read the classics. They already knew this stuff. They already had it, you know. But here was the great thing about St. Mary's. There's a community of your peers that are rooting for you to do well. We didn't compete with each other. We supported each other. And I took what I learned here and I took it to Hollywood. So when you see interns on my stoop, you get the story. That's all St. Mary's. So curiosity is the first thing, okay? Then it has to be about technique. It's not an accident that in New York City, the best magazines, and I'm talking Time, Newsweek, Good Housekeeping, In the Day, 17 magazine, every one of those was helmed by a Catholic woman. Did you know that? Helmed. Editor-in-chief or right under it. Okay? And when I moved to New York, I started getting into the community, and I saw that. Now, they were trained in New York, Convent of the Sacred Heart, some of those schools, which were terrific. Sisters of St. Joseph. One of my favorites is the Black Saint. What's his name? You know, the black one. Black Saint. Not St. Martin's. You know, Shag, you're showing off here. I love the book of the Saint. No, it's Saint. He has a French name. Saint Jean-Baptiste. And the nuns are called the Janettes, the Jeanettes. Do you remember them, sister? No? Okay, she's looking at me like I said the Shirelles. Okay. So anyway, so they do that school, and I go to that school. I talk at that school. What I'm trying to say is a woman who's trained at a woman's college for her skill set to go forward has a sense of the team. She knows she's not a lone wolf, and she knows she needs the team. Just like I'm teasing my friends here, my friends over there, my friends over there, you know it's coming from my heart that we're a team. I mean, you know, listen, it's just comedy. Don't get yourselves in a ruffle. That's okay. You'll drink it off later. But the point is curiosity, technique, and what would that third one be if you had to guess that we got at St. Mary's? Just take a wild stab. Persistence. Persistence is a good one. Confidence is a good one. What else? Empathy. What's that, empathy? Did somebody say sexual prowess? Shame on you, girls. Would you please have some respect for sister? I'm so sorry. Sister, you know I can't take it. Really, this thing's going downhill fast. I'm sorry, President Conboy. Anyway, yeah, I think that the third one is, if I'm going to say, is it my third or fourth one? Third. Spirituality. The ability to go inward, to be quiet, to be soulful, to listen to your soul as it speaks to you, to be content with what you have what you have. Don't be looking, oh, he got that and she got that, or I was only number 2 on the New York Times list. Why can't I be number 1? None of that matters. None of it matters. And so if you look at that as one of your goals, your personal goals of that personal relationship you have with God, you don't get ruffled about things. But you have to know, and I'm speaking to the choir here, you know, very, very often in a competitive sphere, like a sphere like The Godfather, you know, they're going to come with their knives. Come at me. That's not, I'm going to do a St. Mary's job. I'm going to be excellent. And let the chips fall where they may. I think when you went to school here, you understood very, very quickly, you know, what the story was, what the score is. And every woman in this room has had a painful journey. We know it. We can look in each other's eyes and we know it. A lot of hurt, a lot of pain, a lot of disappointment, a lot of being muscled out of the way just because of our gender. A lot of not getting the raise. A lot of being afraid to ask for it. Never been my problem, sister. That's never been my problem. Knowing what to ask for. But I'm going to share something with you. You know, I had a real rough go maybe the last 6, 7 years. COVID, you know, everybody shut their offices down. You know this. You all went through it. But I had to have a spiritual reckoning with myself and say, and I put a little note on my computer that said, what are you doing for the reader? What are you doing? And I also use it in my other activities. What are you doing for the people? What are you doing? What are you doing? And as mothers, we know it's an 18-year job that has a lifetime lease on us, okay? But they leave. And right on cue, your husband goes like this. Right? Who had that happen? Raise your hand. The minute raise your hand. You raise the kids and then he gets sick. Right? We are constantly caretaking. Constantly. But I want to say this to you. You did multiple things all the time in your life. I want you to think about you and what it is you want to say and what it is you were born for. And think about Frank McCourt. That's just in my arena. There's other arenas. You know, it doesn't have to be Frank McCourt. You don't have to write Angela's Ashes. You don't have to write anything if you don't want to write something. But what you do have to do is go inward and say, what is there left to do that I need to do that I can help with? Because you're going to take care of your grandkids. You're going to take care of your husbands. You're going to take care of your lovers. Okay? You're going to do that. You're going to do it because it's natural. So The Godfather, fall 2027, I'll come to St. Mary's. And, yeah, I'll be all over the place. Always go see your authors when they tour through. You may feel raggedy and tired and stuff. Just go see us. And I have been, and I wanted to lead with this, but, you know, I'm in show business, so I didn't, but because I'm too busy laughing. But I have to thank you. You've come to see me. You've kept the faith. I get emails. You know, if I don't hear from you, that's also I know you're busy. It's an understanding. There's no harm. If you don't hear from me, don't get all twisted up. I get home, I'll email you back, whatever it is. But I have to thank you. I mean, I think I probably owe everything to St. Mary's, really. Don't you think I do? Yeah, I do. I think I owe everything. And that great theater department. Yes, we still got plenty of time. Y'all relax.
All right, so this sounds really exciting. Can't wait for that moment when the novel comes out. Do we need to know whether there's a St. Mary's graduate in there?
There definitely is.
All right.
I'm going to tell you something funny. I need Mario Puzo's papers. I'm going up to Dartmouth. His papers are at Dartmouth. And I asked his son, why Dartmouth? Did he go to Dartmouth? He said, no, he just made it up because Michael Corleone went to Dartmouth. It's one line in the book. And Dartmouth came for his papers. So they got everything, his typewriter, everything. So I have to do something special for St. Mary's. I don't know. I don't think you do papers here, do you?
Oh, we do.
You do?
We do yours for sure.
Well, okay. I have to figure that out. Maybe I give you all my awards. Library of Virginia wants them too. But let's figure it out. Let's figure that out. That would be good, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, good. All right. That's good.
You'll be connected forever. So maybe
how's it going? Can I ask Shag, how's it going up here? Okay, babe.
Yeah. So earlier, you tried to ask your own question. What was it? It was, what surprised you most about your creative journey?
Oh.
And then you never answered your own question.
That I'm here, that I'm still standing, that I'm still doing it, that in my 60s, the most exciting job of my life came my way. You know how many of my friends have quit or gone on, or I don't know what they're doing. They're on islands with Mai Tais, you know. And I said, no. I said, but I looked at my grandparents, though. I looked at my grandmothers. My grandmother, Viola, was wearing, by the way, I have her cut off shorts. I don't think my sisters know that. I have her cut off. Tony, are you bored? She okay? Anyway. My sister said, will you land the plane? Please, don't worry about it. It's all fine. We'll be great later. All right, so anyway, you really upset sister with that comment. She was appalled. Oh, she is? Okay, thanks, Toe. Okay, so anyway, I have my grandmother's cut off short. She was climbing trees in her 60s and pruning trees. Cut off short with a sun hat. And I am finding this is my best decade. It is. And I'd like to squeeze the juice out of my 70s if I can. I'd like to. You don't know, though. You really don't, do you? You are? I wouldn't have guessed you were in your 70s. See, that's what I like about St. Mary's. We invest in good face work. How old? 71. Looking good, sis.
And so are you, and we're so proud of you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, yes.
Anything else?
No, I'm younger, but you look younger. So that's all that matters at this stage of life. But no, but you count, I think, let me clarify this. It's not I keep trying to mention say this. It's not about the age. It's about your commitment to what you got to get done. And anybody that at this point, and I'm just going to lay it out for you. These are my projects, Connie the Godfather, which is written, we're editing now. Big Stone Gap is going to be a television series. I've written the pilot. But it takes place now with the troubles in Appalachia, which I'm crazy about that whole thing. And then I'm writing and directing The View from Lake Como once I get the baby launched. Yeah. So see? You're right. So you don't have anybody tell you who you are. And by the way, it was no surprise to me also because of St. Mary's at every juncture in my career that there wasn't somebody with really sharp elbows trying to get you out of the way. But you have to just, well, you see how I handle stress. I joke around. It helped, You bob and weave and you just keep moving. But what you can't let it do, because when things happen, I was fired once, it was fantastic. At the time, I was in such a state of shock, I left my purse in the desk. So I left, and then I had to go back up in that elevator. And by the time I got back up there, this was on a television show, the woman writer that was my friend had taken my desk. And I said, oh, you just go. I had the better office. I said, take it. I said, no, I just left my purse here. And I walked out. I was stupefied. But then something great happened. I remembered my contract. And I remembered that the man that fired me had to pay me off. So that's how I found the financing to make my documentary film that led to writing the screenplay Big Stone Gap, which led to writing the novel Big Stone Gap. My whole life changed because that guy, he said to me when he fired me, he said, you just don't get to the sex fast enough in my scripts. And I said, well, have you lived? Doesn't happen like that. He went on to create a lot of your favorite shows. And but when he found out that he had to pay me off, he tried to get me to come back. And it was the happiest day of my life. When I said, I'm sorry, Darren Star, I can't come back. Yeah, it was great. I wish him all the best, Yeah. So I got fired. I went through stuff. I went through a lot of stuff. And I think personally, too, you go through things with your family. The aging parent thing is no joke. It's really, 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 really hard. And even when you're from a big family, people all do the best they can, and they do what they want to do, and they do it how they want to do it. interpersonal family relationships are very difficult. They're also very rewarding. I'm crazy about my family. I'm crazy about my sisters. My brothers, I'm crazy. I love my brothers so much, I toured with them last summer. My brother Michael put his band together, and then he said, well, and I realized that I needed Michael. Michael needed Carlo, who's our other brother. And I think there's a lady here that went to school with him. Yeah, I don't know where she is. And you're right here. Yes, dear. I took your picture. Yeah, you went to Rome with Carlo, right? And so when Michael calls me, he said, okay, Adria, I'm going to put the band together, and I'm going to do this with you. Like I basically did stand-up and then did band, right? Book with ticket. Book with ticket. So you got a show, you got the book, you got a lot of bang for your little buck there, okay? Which is also something I love, because I'm from Big Stone Gap. I know people. It just made sense, pay for the tour. Anyway, so Michael said, I want Carlo to be the tour manager. We need a tour manager. And, you know, you need a tour manager. That's a person that makes sure the instruments are set up and the lighting works and the thing. And they deal with the box office and they deal with the bookstore and, you know. And Carlo went to Notre Dame and he had was he accounting degree? Yeah, he was accountant. Carlo's, he's the most brilliant. He worked as an accountant until he got his pension, which he was in his 30s. He's that guy. So, and he says, so Michael and I are on the phone, and he says, I need Carlo. And I realized he needed Carlo. So I said, oh, Carlo. And he said, what's the problem? I said, oh, he's very, very frugal. I said, we're going to be on the New Jersey Turnpike splitting a banana 3 ways. I can't, Michael. Don't make him come on the tour. Anyway, it's very full circle with my brothers. So I was so happy to spend time with them and be present with them. And, you know, so your big family gives to you gifts in different ways. In different ways, all through your life. My sisters are very supportive. Whenever I do anything with them, we always have a charity that we're doing it for, right, girls? There's always a little charity. Tony comes in, we need some water towers in Africa. Okay, what can we do for the water towers? And then Checkit comes in for the Campagna Center. And we do our thing, and then Pia rolls meatballs and does all the hors d'oeuvres. And, yeah, it's really great. Yeah. Okay, I'm sorry, Katie. So that was my sidebar. Yeah, Tony's getting bored now. Are you hungry? Tony, you're hungry, right? Okay, good.
Okay, so let's just do
Questions? You want to do
well,
questions?
I'm realizing, well, I think we had decided we weren't doing questions because people submitted these questions, but I will.
Oh, sure, if you want to.
But
This
I
is
would,
why you're the president of this August University. College, I mean college. I don't mean university.
But I think I'm
well,
getting
confused. We're almost a university now, aren't we, because of the graduate program?
well, we have graduate programs, but we're a college.
Okay.
Yeah, I think
I
we
stand
definitely,
corrected.
we want to stay at college.
We want to stay at college?
I
Okay,
think
good.
so. Yep. I don't want to become St. Mary's University. There's one of those in the world already, you know, and there's another St. Mary's College too, for
Good
that matter.
point.
But, yeah.
I'm glad you clarified. I'm not in academics.
Right. But
Yeah.
we like our graduate programs, but we're never going to have that kind of huge graduate presence. It's more, these are in fields where we know that, you know, a student who does a social work bachelor's degree really needs the master's degree. So it's the natural outgrowth of a couple of our programs in the health sciences in particular. But I'm getting the signal because I think I realized that in my calendar it says that I'm here until 4:30, but in the program it says this ends at 4:15. Sorry, everyone. But why don't I at least say this? I want to say that at St. Mary's, we talk a lot and think a lot about women supporting other women. The kinds of friendships that are here today are incredible. Your friend group is very evident, but I know there are lots of other friend groups in the room and here for reunion. And I also think that there's a lot in St. Mary's graduates about reaching back and pulling somebody else up who may be younger than you, who may be behind you, who may need a hand, who may also be a St. Mary's person. And you have employed pretty consistently over the years St. Mary's graduates as
Then they're superstars.
as
Karen
your
Fink,
assistants.
she's now at the top of publicity at Random House. I mean, I could just kind of go down the line of the great students here that came and worked with me, and that's part. I say it all the time to the young women: is to take my job.
Yep.
I'm here to teach you how to do it. You do it your way. Every day at 3:30, come in and watch me have a nervous breakdown. It's very entertaining. But I don't sugarcoat anything for them. And I also, you know what I do, Katie, that I think is great, and maybe this will spark some ideas in our group. I let them sit when I have business calls.
Oh, yeah.
They're in the office, and they hear the numbers, and they understand the growth, and they get the thing. And it's very, very helpful. Now, some of you work for corporations that it's built in, but in our industry, it's not built in. So they have been a gift to me. Whenever I have a St. Mary's graduate ever work with me, I know the fundamentals are covered. I also know I'm dealing with a person that has a very, an education that it touches on all disciplines, and that they have an awareness of that in the world. And then also the idea that every job is a service job, including being a novelist. You're serving people. And that's a very unique St. Mary's thing. But I have to compliment you because I've been around a while, and I've met with a lot of your predecessors, lovely, lovely people, good people. But the vision of what this school originally was not fulfilled in my eyes until now. And I'm going to tell you why. The Catholic story is the story of the immigrant. The Catholic story is the story of the other. We came to a country that didn't want us. And you have turned that around. Nothing made me happier than we came out for Anna Noon's graduation. And I was going around the dorms like everybody else was, looking at folks, and you saw the next generation of Americans that were our grandparents and parents, mostly our grandparents, I would say, where they didn't have an opportunity to go to college, and now they had a daughter in the family that was here. This is such a big deal, and that you have us at capacity because there's a need. And so for many, many years, I would say, please fill every empty bed with a woman that needs the education. And I said brown women, because before World War II, my people were brown. And we forget this in this country. We forget, man, we bite the hand that feeds us. And then this talk of the right way. Get in here the right way. Nothing rankles me more, and I will stop talking about this now until I say this. There were no papers. We came on boats. We came in. They checked us. I was just on Ellis Island. I do the thing every time I go there, and I check. The Irish, and they give you the years. Now, you're either a sensible person with an understanding of history, or you're not. But to gather people and put them in concentration camps in this country, change it, my sisters, change it. Change it. I'm right there with you, and I'm sick of it. And by the way, I love y'all. Democrat, Republican, Independent, MAGA, I love you. My best friends in Big Stone Gap are MAGA. I love them. I'm not abandoning them. But do the right thing. Think. Think in a country where gas is $5 a gallon, and you're building a ballroom. But what builder tears down no, you can take me on this later. Who tears down a building? No, I'm serious. Before you build it, we have builders in my family. You never tear it down until you have the plan. You don't leave it open hole. It's like having a hole in the roof. Call the roofer. You know? So, I mean, I'm a little vehement about it because I'm in a Catholic environment. And Catholic means everyone. Everyone. And I could talk freely because this is what it was like going to school here. I got thrown out of humanistic studies. I still don't understand what that man was saying. He tortured me. He left me in the major till the end. I was two credits shy. I said, Dr. Schlesinger, why now? He said, I never liked theater majors. I was in class with P. I said, what did he say? It's with Cynthia, my best friend, Cynthia Rutledge. She goes, what did he say? I'll tell you later. And then she'd go right back to it. Couldn't understand. But anyway, I'm sorry if I got off on a little tangent. But it's not a tangent. It's the essence of who we are. So I want to thank you. Because what you do is not political. It's moral. Moral. And the graduates, oh my God, I'm crazy about them. And you're doing it. You're doing Matt Oliva's job. And I don't know, I'm sure because you're a woman, you're not getting any credit. Sure, nobody notices. But we do.
Well, I'm not seeking any credit, and I have a great team. I'm glad you're proud of that. I will say you can come to the State of the College tomorrow morning. I'll say more about this. We have 511 deposits for our first-year class next year, which is pretty amazing. 511 deposits, so you got to go back to the late 80s and early 90s to see any classes of that size. Last year we were, just shy of 500. So we are definitely growing. So somebody asked me earlier today, where are we? But most proud, I am most proud of the fact that 31% of those students are first in their family to go to college.
Wow! That right there is God's work. That is God's work right there. And to all of you here, your accomplishments. I happen to be up here because I was available. I'm no great shakes. I look at my friends who have been nurses for 45 years in geriatrics and changed the world one person at a time. Shag right there. I mean, in education, Tricia Burke. I mean, everybody doing fundraising, all this stuff. You've done it. You've done it. You've done it. But we wouldn't have done it without the foundation of who we are. This beautiful experience, this joint experience at this school. And it's 511 strong right now. My gosh, you still have time. You have 511, and you think about that. They tell us women's colleges are dying. But as long as there's a place on planet Earth where women are not allowed to learn how to read, we got to stay strong. We got to stay strong because we're changing things. We really are. But that's your mission. And boy, Katie, I mean, we're just so impressed. And I want to put this out there. There are many, many studies, and I'm sure it's going to be in your study, maybe not. It's about the dough, the money. Now, as fundraisers, the men's universities and colleges get the lion's share of the money in a family. I'm not speaking out of school when I say that, am I? I think if you...
The women live longer. So
the women live longer. That's right. That's right. And by the way, I think they should give, but I think an acknowledgement should be made. The other thing I'm going to tell you is every person in this room knows a wealthy person. Every person in this room knows somebody wealthy. We're about to launch this campaign. Ask them, you care about women's education? Will you give us a scholarship? Will you put somebody through? If that's too much money, could you do something else for us? Don't be shy. I've worked with men all my life. Oh, I should have told my daughter this. They ask. We always think, oh, I can't ask. Ask. Think of that wealthy person that you know and say, will you help St. Mary's? Because you now have the story to tell. And everybody in this room knows that. And that's why we're here. That's why we come back. Because we like to see the growth from when we were here. We love to see it. it's essential. And it also makes us feel good about being Catholic. Makes us feel good about it, because that's the essence of it. Everyone come to the table. Everyone. So,
Adriana, thank you for coming to the table today.
love you girls. Thank you. And boys.
And everyone, enjoy our time on campus. And obviously, Adri's here, and you can chat with her.